What is up, everybody? This is Marshall Lee of DonkeyJawProjects.com, and today my face is like crazy lighted up. Today we're going to be talking about the wrong way to make comics. I actually first entitled this The Right Way to Make Comics, but then I had an idea. Hopefully it comes across well. I'm getting, this notification here that Hangouts on Air is going away the 1st of August, which really sucks. I don't know what that means. Some people have said that they're saying that it's not really going away, they're rebranding, but I've also heard that that rebranding is really a lame version of what this is and probably isn't doesn't I don't think it's the same thing. I don't think we're going to be able to do the videos with friends type of thing. I think that's more on a private basis. I don't think it might not even be connected with YouTube. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because the Early Bird Artcast, which you're listening to now, is somewhat based off of being able to do Google Hangouts. But, it just means at the very least, we're going to have streams like this so far where it's just me, which is totally fine too. But, I like having people involved. I like having people hanging out with me, like live on air, but also, hopefully, I think there's still going to be the opportunity to have you guys in the chat, which I also like really connecting with you guys in the chat more a lot as well. So, but anyways, I'm gonna switch over real quick to my drawing stuff, doing my comics, and we'll get into this topic here because I think it's interesting. What do you think is the right way and the wrong way to make comics? Um, so basically, I got a comment from somebody. I never know for sure if I should like shout people out, but some people I know, so I'll say their name. But this person I actually just subscribed to today because I didn't know much about them. But they sent in a really interesting comment on a video, and it was basically, talking about how well, it was on my last video, which was last night actually, a living script. It's definitely there's definitely some interesting thoughts in that blog. And basically the basic idea of it is that when I write a script, it's only to say I wrote a script for my comic and to submit it, if I were to submit it to a company, you know, or to for another artist, like it's weird because to me that's not like an end product. Like it's not a finished product. It's just this is kind of a loose outline. Even if it's like fully scripted, this is like a loose version of what the comic will eventually be. To me, the comic is never finished, the script is never finished, the dialogue's never finished, the art is never finished until it's in print. Um, so that's kind of how I look at things. Um, and basically, um, you know, sorry, I got distracted. I got, never mind. I'll try to talk about it in my blog. This is silly. But, anyways, so it's kind of like this living script is kind of how I work, but, you know, that's the way I do it. Um, but there's a lot of different ways to approach comics, and I got a comment on that video, talking about, yes, I kind of allow for some changes here and there, but I really like, this person was basically saying, I really like uh, to have things mostly planned out, um, and I can see that too, and they were making the argument that they just it makes it a little more approachable because it's less intimidating when they know they have a plan, like to know that, in I can't remember exactly how they put it, but they said something like, to know that on in in 6 days or something, I will be working on this specific page and probably these panels, and to know that, to have it planned out to that extent is actually comforting, which I thought was interesting because to me, something like that feels like too restrictive. Um, I think it's just the way I am. I'm pretty sure I get that kind of thing from my mother. She's very much of a spontaneous person, and I think I tend to be kind of spontaneous to a certain point. I don't think I'm as spontaneous as she is, but I tend to be pretty spontaneous with a lot of things, and I like to kind of fly. It's funny because there's this whole thing with writing comics. I mean, with writing like stories and stuff. Are you a plotter or a pantser? And it's interesting because when it comes to like writing stories, I'm very much on the plotter side of things, um, which is weird because you would think I'd be a pantser with the way I am, the way I approach like comics and stuff. And I think the way I approach comics as a whole probably is kind of a pantser. I love the idea of hearing about people like Jack Kirby who basically, he would do, like, he was working on multiple books every month at times, and he would basically he'd do like 2 to 3 pages, sometimes even more than that, I think, in one day, which is crazy, right? I mean, and he would really, I mean, a lot of times we might think about him when we think about that kind of thing. Um, but there were other people who did that kind of thing too. It was different times. You get paid for a page rate, and you didn't get paid a lot, but that was your livelihood. And the more pages you could churn out, the more money you're going to get. So there was a big motivation there just to kind of survive and put food on your family's table and stuff like that. Um, as opposed to now, where a lot of us are just kind of not even necessarily making a living, at least in the circles I run in so far. Um, but even if we are, it's just a different world. Um, I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, but those kind of stories of people who work like that inspire me when it comes to making comics. Like, to me, whatever is the most efficient way that maintains a good enough quality, that's good for me. Like, I'm down with that, method. Um, so I'm actually looking, being fast is part of my style. That's like probably the main criteria. Is it a fast method? If not, then it's not the right method for me. And to be honest, I mean, I've been working on this Legend of the Lone Wolf comic for, this is the 11th page. I've been working on it for months. I got 2 more pages to go, and this, I still have to do the coloring. And I mean, I've done the penciling, the inking, and the lettering so far on every page. Uh, so that is a lot of work, but sometimes my penciling is barely penciling. Most of the time, my penciling is barely penciling. It's almost more like roughs, right straight on the page, and then like no thumbnails even. Um, and then inking, and then if I mess up with the inking, I erase it. And some of these drawings are not necessarily the most amazing thing I could possibly ever ink, but I don't know, they're pretty good. They tell the story, and I enjoy it. I think that the art comes across pretty cool. you know so it's doing the job. That, to me, I feel like it's good enough, and I almost feel like it's really cool because the fact that I do it that way, I kind of come up with some dynamic, interesting things that are just kind of, I don't know, there's an energy to it, I think. I think working that way helps me have an energy to it. But I can totally see the argument for, like, look at, this bear here in the bottom right corner. Like, he's kind of rough, maybe you could, spend some more time on that bear and make him really look cool. Um, but, or look at the background. Actually, I think I'm gonna actually draw the background here. But but look at the background. There's like hardly any background marsh. Like, what if you put a background? It would make it look like they're in the setting a little bit better and stuff. um, totally true. Totally true. And there's a lot of things where I could do better. But even if you are the type of person who's a prepper and who likes to just spend that extra time getting those details right or putting a lot of details in and stuff like that, even if that's the way you are, um, you're still going to make mistakes and there's still going to be blind spots. Where the thing is we can't escape being human, unless we're robots, and then we're not human. And, you know, we can't escape being human. It's the way it is, man. So let's see. I'm trying to think of how I want to approach this background. I wonder, I could put like the cave opening. I think I'm just gonna put random rocks. All right, but I was gonna do the grass first. All right. Anyway, sorry. Oh, I got the wrong tool. So, but there is that way of going about it with planning, and there's a great argument because, people make masterpieces when they spend time on things, and they do some pretty amazing stuff. I always think of my buddy Joshua Kimball. He's like making a masterpiece over there, and it's taken him forever. But I have a feeling that when he does his Kickstarter and whatever, and when he really pushes that project, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes way further than a lot of us have gone, because he's put in that like crazy work. And but it doesn't necessarily, just because he's put in that crazy work doesn't actually necessarily mean he will do better. But I do think that there's something about what he's doing that I think he even is maybe underestimating how much potential that thing has. Like, just because it is a weird nichey type of comic, I mean, he's been showing the process for so long. I don't see why I don't know. I just think he's going to do well with it, is the point. But there's other like examples. You think of things like Lord of the Rings, or I'm trying to think actually of examples, like just things where that people, they put their blood, sweat, and tears. This was like their main project for like 10, 20 years, something crazy like that. Um, and you just know that they put everything they had into this project, and they're not thinking about the next project. They're just like, they've just been engulfed by this project. And if this project does well, maybe they'll consider doing another project, that kind of mentality. you know there is something to be said for that. That's a really cool thing. You don't get Watchmen, and change the world from making a Watchman by just flying by the seat of your pants. um so there's different ways, different methods. And so to me, the right way to do it is going to, and what I'm going to say, it probably won't be a surprise. I've talked about this kind of thing in many different ways, but I just feel like I can't get over like some of these things I talk about. I just keep talking about the same thing sometimes, because it's just, the thing is I'm trying to encourage people and inspire people to make their thing, and to just really work hard and make it happen. So, the right way to make a comic is the way that gets your butt in the chair making the comic and getting things done. Whatever gets you closer to pushing that publish button, to me, is the right way to make a comic. even if it takes you, you know, your whole life to make a comic. I mean, I don't like that method. I don't want to only make one comic in my life personally. It's way more important for me to make many comics in my life and to make many stories than to make one super amazing, perfect one. And the thing is you never know. Even that one, like you could put your life into a comic, and that doesn't guarantee that it's actually going to be any good. Actually, um, now it may very well be. So you got to kind of part of this is intuitive. You have to like kind of look at yourself, see what you do well, and try to understand the way your DNA is made. Like everybody's different. And if everybody's telling you, you got to just get pages out and start publishing, like if you're listening to me, but you're like, but Marsh, like that's not, I don't feel, that's not the way I like to do things. Like, but you're thinking, well, maybe I should, because Marsh says, that that's the way that he does it, and so maybe I should try doing that. And it doesn't hurt to try different things. Even if it is just to find out what's the wrong way for you to do it. That is actually valuable information, and it's worth going through that process. So there is that aspect. But if you're sitting there thinking, hey, Marsh does it this way, maybe I should try it because that's the way he does it. And look, he's getting stuff out and blah, blah, blah. But if you're really inside more feeling like, but I don't know, something about that, it just doesn't resonate with me. I don't want to do it that way. I mean, I'm inspired by Marsh's stuff, but I don't want to do it the way he does it. That I feel like I need to put more effort into preparing this thing and making it, you know, making it kind of have all the things that I like to do it. Like I feel really uncomfortable with that kind of spontaneous method of doing things. Then totally don't do it. Don't do it the way I do it. Do it the way that inspires you to do it. And I know that sounds like kind of like, oh yeah, you just do your own thing, be your own special snowflake, and everybody's right, everybody's a winner, and like I don't believe in that kind of thing, but I do believe in following your intuition. I actually think that that's a big part of things, even if you don't believe in anything spiritual or whatever. um, I think it is important to be able to kind of follow your intuition, and there's just a certain way that you probably do things. And if everybody's telling you to go one way, but it doesn't resonate with you, then don't listen to them. Do it your own way, and you're probably going to come out with something really, um, really unique because of it. That and because you approached it in a certain way, you're actually going to have an edge. So somebody like me who kind of goes quick and gets more stuff done, I'm going to get more stories out, blah blah blah, you know, or tries to, at least. That's my goal. I don't know if I do it that quick, but um, you know, I'm going to have an edge over somebody who takes forever to do a comic, and you know, but does like this masterpiece thing. In some ways, I'm going to have an edge, but in other ways, they're going to have an edge over me. And it's not about having an edge over people. I'm just kind of saying, like, we all have something unique to bring to the table. We truly do. But you know, it's just that, like, the way I do it is going to be the best way for me to do it, and the way you do it is going to be the best way for you to do it. You know what I mean? Um, So there is a wrong way to do it, though. There is a wrong way to make comics, in my opinion. I think I'm right. Maybe I'm not right. Everybody thinks they're right, and not everybody is right. So I could be totally wrong, but I don't know. Let me know what you think about this when I say what the wrong way to make comics is. But to me, the wrong way to make comics is the way that stops you from acting, from taking action. That's the wrong way. So if you hear me say I do it this way and you try to do it that way, but it causes you to be kind of paralyzed, and you find yourself procrastinating because that way of doing it doesn't resonate with you, then that's the wrong way. The way that I do it is the wrong way for you to do comics. But if you see like your favorite comic artists like do some amazing stuff, and it took them like 10 years to make this one comic, and it came out beautifully, but it's too overwhelming. Like you're starting to freak out about the fact that, well, does that mean I'm only going to get one comic out? Or while I'm doing all this crazy world building or whatever it is that's keeping me up at night, I'm not actually producing anything. Like if you feel like you just have this need in you to produce, even though you're not perfect yet, um, then that way is the wrong way for you. Doing it the way where you kind of make this your life's work, your opus. That way is maybe the wrong way for you. Whatever way gets you to act, because the people who get the way to make improvement really with anything. This also goes for like trying to promote your stuff and everything. Like the way to get ahead with what you're trying to do, and I say get ahead, meaning even I'm saying like you're competing with yourself, not with like other people necessarily. The way to get ahead is to take action. If what you're doing is causing you to not take action, then you're doing it the wrong way, you know? So, sometimes, there's good methods like in how to write things or draw things, and I see them and I try them, and sometimes they don't work, but later on they will work. It is a process, like a learning process, and you know, um, I just at one point it might be something that kind of causes me to procrastinate and stops me from taking action. But a year later from now, that same method might resonate with me, and I might have more patience and just have more skill to be able to approach a comic a certain way that I wasn't able to before. When I first started making comics, I barely made a bullet point list before I started actually drawing pages, let alone I didn't thumbnail, or I did try. I always, pretty much every time I've made a comic so far, I've tried to almost every time tried to thumbnail and gotten like to 3, 4, 5, pages, maybe 10, something like that. And then eventually I just abandoned the thumbnailing process. Um, and I just kind of end up going right to the page. And a lot of it's not a great way to do it. Your thumbnail, you should at least plan it out that much. And you know what? I just tend to get stuck in that process, and it causes me to not be productive sometimes. So, I'm getting, like I've said many times, I'm getting more and more sophisticated with my process. And I don't know if I really like the word sophisticated for that, but basically, my process is getting more in depth while I go, but it's also getting more efficient as I go. So it's like every time I make a comic, I'm approaching it in a little bit of a different way each time, a little bit different, and it's getting better and better and better every single time. So it's this building process. So, but there are times like right now, like you know, I'm getting really into the writing side of things, trying to learn how story works and write a great story that actually resonates with people. So I want to take a little more time than I've taken in the past to to kind of write a good, like actually write a full script and stuff. But I got to a point with one script where I was doing that, and I was starting to do like these things like character bios, and trying to like really get in depth and understand people's characters, and then understand like the multiple different plot embryos that might be happening in a story. And I started to get to that point where I wasn't being productive, and causing me to it was causing me to procrastinate on an issue and causing me to not take action. And I actually stopped doing all of that, and I just went on to start scripting the actual pages. And that was what I needed to do to wake myself back up to really get excited about this project again. So for me right now, doing all that kind of prep work on the characters is the wrong way to go, you know, because it causes me to not take action. But maybe, I'll do that. I'll start to do that, a year from now, and I'll have what it takes to do that without being overwhelmed and without having it cause me to stop taking action. And then I will do that. So that will be part of my process at some point, maybe. And my comics will be better for it. But you gotta be realistic with where you're at and not try to put too much on yourself. And like I said, the right way to make comics is the way that causes you to be able to take action. The wrong way to make comics is that which makes you not take action. Um, and that's it. That's my thoughts on that. I'm gonna go over to the chat real quick and see what you guys are talking about, and then I'm gonna jump out of here a little bit. We got Albertosaurus channel. That's a cool name. How you doing? Hey, everybody who's hanging out. Titan, how's it going? Good to see some new people in the chats and in my comments lately. Yeah, shout out to Titan Alpha. I don't know much about your stuff, but if you have some videos on your channel, I'll go and check them out. Um, Alberta's channel, why Hangout is going away? I don't know, man. I don't know why it's going away. It's kind of surprising to me. I mean, I've known it. They've been hinting at that for a long time, so I've kind of known that it might be going away. But you know, um, now they finally put a date on it, and it's August 1st, which is crazy. So. But I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. I'm gonna still be here making YouTube videos, regardless. Maybe that just means I will be doing different kind of YouTube videos. But I think as long as there's still a way to do live streams, even if I can't have people on, I'll probably still do them. Especially if there's a chat that I can look at. Still, then I'm kind of cool with it. Like I've done live streaming by myself plenty of times. But yeah, and Van Illustration is here, Clay, also known as Clay. So yeah, just kind of a quiet day. It's kind of funny. Like I haven't been getting much response about the live stream today. I think it's maybe Friday is not a great day, or it just happens to be this Friday. It's weird because I bet I'll try to do it next Friday if I were to do it on Friday again, and I get a lot of response. I've seen other people get a lot of response on Fridays. It's just weird. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you get a day where it just happens that a lot of people are just not around, who are typically around. But it's all good. I think we had a good discussion here. Hopefully, you guys got something from this and got encouraged, got helped. I know this is the type of thing that motivates me. It's all about taking action. When it comes to trying to do anything, it's the same, like I said, with social media. It's the same with writing. The same with doing the art. Same with trying to promote your comic. Whatever it is that motivates you to take action, that's what's going to help you to get to where you want to go. I think the biggest thing that stops us is we don't start, we don't take action, we don't continue, and we procrastinate and never get the thing done or out or whatever. So taking action is huge. And the more you can increase the action you take, pretty much the better, as long as you're not doing things like stepping on people to get further or something, or being greedy or whatever it is, like all those evil, bad, horrible things. But taking action on good things, whether for sure if it's right or wrong, as far as how to make something work, just take action. As long as it's not ethically wrong, I think you're good. So I think I'm going to end it there. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Hopefully you dig this stuff, and I'll talk to you on the next video. Alrighty. Peace out.